Men of God. That's right. Okay. Brothers. Men of God. Absolutely. That's what you're here for, to become and be, and what a joy it is. I'm Father Charleston. I'm on the clergy team at Church of the Redeemer, and I want to welcome you, especially if you're visiting. I look out and I see a lot of characters I know. A lot of troublemakers in this bunch, and I'm thankful for you. If I don't know you, I sure would like to, and just so thankful that you're here. I'm thankful for so many people that make this possible, this really historic evening. And in just a moment, Craig Burness from Men of the Redeemer is going to introduce Coach to us, but I want us to just pause and give thanks to God that we can, come together like this. We live in a place and a country where we can come together and do this and be built up and rooted in God. And for one another, for the gift of faith, for Coach's presence with us tonight, for the ultimate victory that was already won 2,000 years ago. And we come tonight in every way to reclaim that and to wrap that around our lives. And we want to leave here rejoicing in that power and draw others into that loving embrace of our Lord Jesus Christ. So we've got, I was starstruck, I'll be honest with you, when I met Coach. And I think we're going to hear how he was starstruck, but because he follows the one and only North Star in life, who is Jesus Christ. And with that, let's just take a moment of quietness, calm our hearts before the Lord in a spirit of thanksgiving. If you'll join me, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Craig, God bless you, my brother. Thank you. None of this is possible without you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you.
400 men in a church, and it's not even a TikTok challenge. How about that? Not bad, not bad. My name is Craig Burness. I help to lead the Men of Redeemer ministry here at Church of Redeemer, and welcome for that. Who's in store for, who's ready for a great steak night? We've had many great steak nights here, as you know. We've had some great speakers in the past few years. It gets better every year, and of course this year is no different. I think you'll agree with me, but I think we have a great message. So it's not only a great steak night, yes, and that's how we lured you here. The doors are locked, right? Okay. But we have a great speaker, a compelling speaker, and a great message. So I think that's going to do its job tonight. So the Men of Redeemer, let me tell you a little bit. We formed 30 years ago to organize ways to bring men back to their churches and together in faith, to get involved, build relationships, have fun, and support multiple ministries through Church of the Redeemer specifically for us, but also for your church if you don't go here or are not a member here. Ministries such as Good Friday, Stations of the Cross, Walk Down Main Street, Sarasota, Alta Vista fundraiser support for underprivileged children's back-to-school needs, Behold the Man pilgrimages to distant destinations in Europe to follow in the footsteps of Jesus and his disciples. I participated in one to Jerusalem 2.5 years ago. It was phenomenal. I think we're doing now one, Jay, in Greece as well. So that is our current pilgrimage. The downtown Sarasota community Thanksgiving luncheon, helping to feed the homeless. Various community outreach services that we participate in. Men's Christian programming and outreach events such as Christian leadership concepts. We'll be picking up with another CLC in the spring, I think we're organizing one. And then also Wednesday morning men's lectionary Bible study, Saturday men's prayer group, and of course Resurrection House, a day resource center for the homeless in Sarasota County, which is taking off phenomenal due to our friend Joe. Our next quarterly Men of Redeemer event is Paella Night. You have this on your pews, and we might not have as many in the pews as there are men here tonight. But we do have some next events coming up similar to this. We have a great speaker, and it's Paella Night, and that's in February. And our golf tournament is going to be at Palmyra Country Club on Saturday, May 2nd. So those are the 2 dates of events that we have scheduled so far, if you want to make a note of those as well. Also, our Men of Redeemer includes every man. So if you see people here tonight and you think maybe they're members of Redeemer, maybe they are not, that's probably true. But we like to include every man in what we do here and our beliefs. We want men to feel welcome and join us and be involved in their church, whether it's Redeemer or your church. It can be ushering, leading an event, enjoying men's gatherings, volunteering where you feel connected or interested, whatever floats your boat. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help men find their place and have a good place at their church. I like to say the Men of Redeemer leadership team is 12 ordinary men. And I just actually read that book, terrific book, but I think it lines up very perfectly with the Men of Redeemer leadership team that we have. And I told those gentlemen, if you would please stand up tonight and let's thank these guys for all the work they do. Thank you. We'd especially like to thank Todd Morton and his tremendous catering staff at Morton's Gourmet Market for tonight's steak dinner. The awesome staff in our church office who handled we have an awesome office staff who's helped us do this. I mean, we work on these events, especially this one, a year or more ahead of time. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of dates, there's a lot of changes, and it's a lot to put together. But the front office staff guides us through this they print all the forms, items like this, you name it, all the bulletins, all the communications, they handle that for us. So they're terrific as well. Our staff handling audio, visual, and setup. Sam and the Rambos, and I thought, Sam, I just created a new band, didn't I, by saying that? But thank you for the audio visual for tonight's event. And we're blessed to have our clergy with us as well. Father Wilson, thank you for the opening and the blessing. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. We have the pleasure of presenting great speakers and personalities in recent years, as I mentioned. And tonight we're blessed to have Coach Tony Dungy joining us to deliver an awesome men's Christian message titled Being Uncommon Men, after one of his books, Uncommon. I don't know if you've seen this book, but Tony has written several books and also participated in quite a few more, if you have a look. So our gift shop has had the book on sale, and you can still order it on Amazon or wherever you want to order it. But terrific book. I read Tony's book once I knew he was speaking, and I think you'll really like it a lot. So let me talk a little bit about our speaker tonight. He's a #1 New York Times best-selling author whose books include Quiet Strength, Uncommon, The Mentor Leader, Uncommon Marriage, and his latest, Uncommon Influence, which Tony co-authored with his wife, Lauren. Tony led the Indianapolis Colts to a Super Bowl victory in February of 2007, the first such win for an African-American head coach. Tony established another NFL first by becoming the first head coach to lead his team to the playoffs for 10 consecutive years. He joined the Colts in 2002 after serving as the most successful head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers history. He has held assistant coaching positions with the University of Minnesota, Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Minnesota Vikings. Before becoming coach, Tony played 3 seasons in the NFL, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in my hometown of Canton, Ohio, 2016. Tony has been involved in a wide variety of charitable organizations, including All Pro Dad Abe Brown Ministries, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Athletes in Action, Mentors for Life, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and Boys and Girls Clubs. He also works with Basket of Hope, Impact for Living, the United Way of Central Indiana, the Salvation Army, and the American Diabetes Association. He retired from coaching in 2009 and now serves as a studio analyst. You've probably seen him for NBC's Football Night in America. Tony and his wife Lauren are the parents of 11 children. Yes. Gentlemen, men of Redeemer, Tony Dungy.
Thank you very much. This is quite unbelievable for me. My brother, my friend Terry said, can you come down and speak to a few guys at our church? And it'd be so, I'm thinking 10, 12 guys, you know, I'm a football coach. I'm used to speaking in a huddle, you know, 10 other guys with you. Not like this, but this is fantastic. Thank you very much. I do have to say, though, I am a little bit intimidated for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've seen the list of speakers you've had, and I'm following some pretty awesome guys, so that's tough. And then, when they told me I had 30 minutes to speak, like, you do realize you're talking to a football coach, right? I'm used to speaking to guys with short attention spans, you know, that you have to keep their attention. Our half times are only 12 minutes long, so I've never spoken for more than 11 minutes. And they said, oh, we need you to go 30. As a matter of fact, how many Buccaneer fans do we have in here? Okay. You probably, you don't know it, but the best halftime speech I've ever given, okay? We were playing the Buccaneers. I was coaching for the Indianapolis Colts. It was my birthday, Monday Night Football. Our guys wanted to win so bad for me, we stunk up the joint in the first half. We're down 21-0. So I go in, we've only got 12 minutes to talk. We got a lot of things we've got to correct, but we played so bad, everybody wanted to say something. All the coaches drew up the different things we're going to do in the second half. Players got up and talked. Peyton Manning, who rarely says anything, he had to talk. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to say this to the guys in a short period of time, and all of a sudden, knocked on the door. The referee says, you got 30 seconds until we're kicking off. Really? What am I going to say in 30 seconds? We're behind 21-0. So I said, guys, we're playing terrible. If we don't start playing better fast, we're going to lose. He said, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go. That was it. We scored 21 points in the last 4 minutes, tied it up, and won in overtime. And everybody's, what did you say to those guys in the locker room? How did you turn it around? Well, you know, I just didn't say too much. But that's the normal talk in the locker room. So we're going to go a little deeper than that tonight. I want to talk about being uncommon and being an uncommon man. And that is something that got driven home to me from the time I was little, and it just seemed to follow a progression, and that's why I did write that book with Nathan Whitaker, because it was so meaningful to me. I think it really started with my parents in a little small town, Jackson, Michigan. I grew up there. It's a little industrial automotive town in the central part of the state. Not much there. The prison is the biggest thing there. The prison employs more people than anybody else. The next biggest thing, and when I was growing up, was the auto industry. And everybody that I knew worked some capacity in the auto industry. We had, obviously, General Motors and the car manufacturers, but we had the glass factory and Goodyear Tire and the metal shop. And That's what I was used to. That's how I grew up. But my dad was a little different. My dad said, hey, don't do what everybody else does. Do what you want to do. Now, if that ends up being what everybody else does, great, but do it because you want to do it, not because everybody's doing it. And he just pumped this into us over and over and over again. Listen to the Lord, get a feeling in your heart what you want to do, and then go after that and go to college. And that was unusual in that day and age, because I had buddies, everybody who I grew up with wanted to go to work and make money and do it as soon as they could. You could be 18 and you could work in the auto factories, you could get on the pension plan, you could make money, and that's what they did. Our best running back in high school stopped playing in October because his birthday, he turned 18 in October. He said, guys, hey, we're having a good season, but I got to go to work. That's what he wanted to do. And that's what I grew up with. But my dad said, no, you don't have to do that. Okay? You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. And his basis for that was, I found out later, I didn't know it at the time, but it was Romans chapter 12, verse 2, which says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. Or some of the older translations say, don't be conformed to this world. Let God transform you. And I didn't know it, but that's what he was preaching to us. Be different, do what you feel like doing, do what God has called you to do. Well, I had 3 siblings. Okay, we all grew up in that environment. My oldest sister became a nurse. She worked at the prison, but she wanted to help people, and she went into nursing. My younger sister was going to follow her footsteps. She was so interested in science, which my dad taught. And my dad told her, you don't have to be a nurse like your sister. If you are really interested in medicine, be a doctor. And that was unheard of back then in that day for a female to even think about it. Well, today my sister is one of the foremost experts on high-risk pregnancies and crisis pregnancies. People come from all over the country to Indianapolis, Indiana to see her. I was in the airport about 2 weeks ago, and a lady came up to me with a girl who was about this tall. She said, this is my daughter. She's 15 years old. She wasn't supposed to make it. They told us there's no way she would survive, and your sister delivered her. And I said, that's my dad. That goes back to my dad. Be uncommon. Do what you want to do. My brother is a dentist. So you can see he had a science teacher for a dad, a nurse, a doctor, a dentist, and a PE major. But we were all doing what we wanted to do. That was from my dad, and I really, really thank him. I got the idea I wanted to go to college very early. That was rare growing up in the 60s and early 70s in Jackson, Michigan. But he pumped that into us. Yes, have those high aspirations. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. And then the other side of the coin was my mom. She was a Shakespeare and public speaking teacher, and she wanted everybody to be uncommon too, but her uncommonness was doing it for the Lord. And over and over and over again, when I was young, it was, doesn't matter what you do. Okay? What matters is why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. Okay? If you're doing it for yourself, that's okay. But if you're doing it for other people, that's even better. And if you're doing it for the Lord, that's the best. And she just kept saying that over and over and over again. Doesn't matter if you're a nurse, a doctor, a dentist, or a football coach. Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? And she had a verse that she just kept hitting us with when we were young. Matthew 16:26, over and over and over again. What would it profit a man to gain the whole world if you forfeit your soul? In other words, you could do anything you want. You could be the most famous. You could be the best. If you forfeit your soul and you don't have a relationship with God, it doesn't matter. And I have to be honest, I didn't get Romans 12:1, and I didn't get Matthew 16:26 when I was young. I got don't have to follow the world and why are you doing things, but I didn't get the spiritual side of it. So I wanted to honor my parents growing up, and I had some aspirations. I got into sports. I loved it. I wanted to be some type of an athlete. I wanted to graduate from college and honor my parents because they did. So when I went to college, I was uncommon, but I didn't have the spiritual side yet. Okay, I went to college and I was determined that I was going to be a good football player and I was going to graduate and graduate in 4 years. That was my goals, and I wasn't going to let anything distract me. So I got to the University of Minnesota as a 17-year-old freshman, went up in the summer because I wanted to get there early, get acclimated, take some summer school classes. They put me in a room with two guys who were already freshmen. They were going to be sophomores, and they were going to look out for me and take care of me. And they were really good guys, but they were so wild. So we had a 2-bedroom apartment because we wanted to save money. So they had the bedrooms because they were older. I slept on the fold-out couch. That's fine with me because I was there to go to school, to learn, to practice, and to be ready to go. So it didn't matter. So Friday nights, they would have these parties. They'd invite people over. All the alcohol, wine in the kitchen, music blasting, the OJs, Earth, Wind, and Fire. In the middle of the party, I would pull out the couch, get in bed, pull the covers over my head. They're dancing, jamming, partying. And they're looking at me, that's the weirdest guy in the world. That's gonna be your quarterback? But that was me, and I didn't care. I said, you guys do what you want to do, that's great. I'm going to sleep because I'm going to get up and go work out at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be in the coach's office looking at film, so I'm going to be the best that I can be. And I did that for 4 years at Minnesota, and they said, yeah, that's uncommon. And they didn't say uncommon, they said weird. That's a little weird, but I respect that. And I did have the respect of the guys, and I did what I wanted to do. I started for 3.5 years at quarterback. I got my degree. I would have graduated in 4 years, but I played my senior year. I went to Hawaii and Japan and played in the Hula Bowl and the Japan Bowl, and I missed a quarter of school, so I had to come back and finish that up. But I was proud of myself. I did what I wanted to do. I got that degree from my parents, and it paid off for me. Paid off, and I didn't get to play quarterback in the NFL, but I signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had a guy named Bradshaw, so they said they didn't really need another quarterback. I said, but if you will, we know you're a hard worker, we know you're dedicated, we know you're smart, you probably can switch positions. So they signed me to play defensive back. And it was an awesome experience, the best thing that ever happened to me. Most of you guys, well, I say a lot of you guys know that era, in the middle of a 4 Super Bowl run in 6 years, Steel Curtain, best team, in my opinion, in the history of the game. And it's some amazing guys. So I'm there, excited, fired up. First meeting, I sit down, I'm the first guy there, got my notepad out. Coach Noel is going to tell us, I think, how to make the team, how we're going to win another Super Bowl. I'm so fired up. And the first thing he says to us, very first thing, he said, gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the National Football League. You're now getting paid to play football. Think about that for a minute. You're getting paid to play football. So that makes it your profession. Treat it as your profession. And I'm writing this down, ready to go. He said, but don't make it your life. If you make football your life, you're going to leave the game disappointed. You are going to leave the game at some point. And if it's your whole life, you'll be disappointed. And I'm writing this, don't make it your whole life. I said, man, this guy sounds like my mom. How are we going to win Super Bowls if he thinks that way? Well, he showed us. And I ended up playing for him for 2 years and coming back on his coaching staff for 8 more. I was around him 10 years. And he showed me that you can win, you can be excellent, and you can do everything you want to do, and you don't have to make it your whole life. There are more things that are more important. I didn't know it at the time, but every rookie on the team, once you made the team, you had to sign up once a month on the off day for us, which was Tuesday, on your off day, to go do community service. And they'd have a sign-up sheet, the places you could go, because he wanted us to see that it was more than just football. We had family practices every Saturday before the game, everybody brought their whole family. The kids got to run around on the field. Yeah, we worked at it and we got ready for the game, but he wanted the kids to know where their dads worked. He wanted us to know that the kids were important. And that's something I carried over when I got into coaching. When I came here with the Bucks, we had Family Saturday and they loved it. Okay? I went to Indianapolis and those guys loved it. And the guys who coached for me, Lovie Smith, went to Chicago and took Family Saturday. Herm Edwards took Family Saturday to the Jets. Mike Tomlin, they're still doing Family Saturdays in Pittsburgh now, after, what's he been there, 19 years now. But that was Coach Noll's message, and it resonated with me. And that was great. I'm glad that I got that, because when I got into coaching years later, I saw coaches who slept in the office and stayed there all night, and they thought that their preparation was the most important thing. It's still going on today, and I was so glad and so blessed that I knew you could be excellent and you didn't have to do it that way. Don't be like everybody else. Don't do what the world does. Be uncommon. So I really thank Coach Noll for that tremendously. And then Coach Noll did one other thing that changed my life around, and it had to be God all the way. But normally they put rookies with rookies, and veterans have their roommates, you know, that have been there. Well, Coach Noll knew that I had never played defense in my life, and he said, you're going to need to learn, so I want to put you in with a veteran guy, and he made Donnie Shell my roommate. Donnie was 3 years ahead of me, tremendous defensive back. That was just unheard of in those days. You just didn't do that. Well, I'm excited because I want to learn, and he said, you watch this guy, follow him around, do what he tells you to do, you're going to be in good shape. So I get in the room, I'm unpacking my stuff, and Donnie Shell turns to me and says, so, nice to meet you. What have you been reading? I'm like, what do you mean, what have I been reading? Yeah, what have you been reading? I said, well, I'm kind of studying the playbook. I'm trying to learn what the strong safety does. I really don't know much about this, so I've been reading No, I'm not talking about that. The Bible. What have you been reading in the Bible? I said, well, to be honest, I haven't read it in a while. I'm trying to learn what the strong safety does. You know? I said, okay, well, here's what I read today. This verse, such and such, this is what it meant to me. Thank you. I appreciate that, Donnie. So we go to bed. His alarm goes off at 6:30. I get up. So, what'd you read this morning? The alarm just went off. I haven't read anything. What are you talking about? Well, I read this before the alarm went off. I read this, this, and this. Now, we got to get to practice, but this goes on for about 5 days. So finally, I said, I better read something so I'll have something to say when he asks me that. So I started reading my Bible for the first time in a long time, just because basically he forced me into it. So a week goes by and he says, hey, I'm glad you're reading. Hey, you need to come to Bible study. We have Bible study on Thursday nights after the meetings are over. You need to come. I said, well, Coach Noll told me to do everything he does and do what he says to do, so I'm going to go with him. So I go, and to my shock, when we open the door, there's about 25 guys in there. And they're all the guys that I grew up watching, and they're my heroes. And they're talking about biblical things and what it means to be a man and how we're going to do this. And I have to say I was shocked, because all I heard was this was the steel curtain, this is the biggest, baddest, dirtiest, nastiest guys in the world, and they were. But they were in there digesting the Bible, talking about it, figuring it out, and it changed my whole attitude around. And I started hearing back from my mom, thinking back, what would it profit a man to gain the whole world if you forfeit your soul? And that's what these guys were telling me. Hey, it's great to be a professional football player. It's great to win Super Bowls. It's great to make money. But if you're not right with the Lord, you're going to be in trouble. And I was 21 years old when that part of the uncommon clicked in. Well, one of the first lessons we had, the chaplain opened up the Bible, and he pointed to a verse, and he wanted the young guys to get it and understand it. And again, it was another thing that changed my life. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 23 and 24. And it was, I'd never seen it before. He opened it up and it says, and this is Paul talking, he says, don't you know in a race, everyone runs, but there's only one first prize. So run to win. I looked at the chaplain and I said, is that really in the Bible? Run to win? I'd never heard that. All I've heard people talk about, Christian, God doesn't care, just do your best and play fair. And I said, show me that. And I looked at it and it's right there, run to win. And believe it or not, that was the Steelers' verse. That's what propelled us to 4 Super Bowls. Because we had so many Christian guys who took that verse and said, this is what God expects. He expects us to be our best in the meeting room, in the off season, lifting weights, whatever it is, practice. Every time we go out there, we've got to be our best because that's what God expects. It's like, wow. Man, this is something. I've read my Bible. My parents made me read it, but I never saw that. That was amazing, and it changed me. But then the chaplain said, don't stop there. Read the next verse. And the next verse says, athletes do it for a prize that will fade away. We do it for an eternal prize. And the chaplain said, okay, all the effort, all the energy, everything you put into making this team, to winning games, to being the best you can be, to being all-pro, yes, put that effort and energy into it. That's what we need. That's what we want. But you got to put the same energy or more into being a good Christian man and being a role model for these young people that are going to come out and watch you. And that changed my life. I was 21 years old. My parents had tried to tell me for years, and I took part of it, but I didn't get the whole thing because I didn't want to see that side. Well, now my life was changed, and I told the Lord in the middle of my rookie season, Lord, if I make this team and I get to do what I want to do, I want to represent you. I want to do it the right way and do it for you. Unfortunately, I had these role models. I had guys who demonstrated that. And it was awesome to see. And our team, so many of those guys, Donnie Shell, John Stallworth, Larry Brown, just fantastic, L.C. Greenwood, on and on and on. And it made a difference for me. So the next year, my second year, we win the Super Bowl. And I'm fired up, pumped up. Yes, God is doing some great things. You reward me. I'm trying to do the right things. And you put me with this group of guys. And just fantastic. I think it's going to go on forever. Well, my third year, I got traded to, at that time, the worst team in football, the San Francisco 49ers. They had won one game the year before. They changed coaches. Bill Walsh was his first year coaching. My buddies are back in Pittsburgh. They're going to win another Super Bowl. I'm playing on a team that went 2-14. I'm like, Lord, how could you do this to me? I'm trying to honor you. I finally got my life together as a Christian. I got some great guys I'm going to be around. Why did you send me out here to this terrible team? Well, I learned a lot with Coach Walsh, and I saw how you built from the ground up. I came into a championship team. I was an offensive player that learned to play defense. I didn't know God was preparing me to be a coach. And I can look back on it and see it, but I didn't know at the time. I'm just, why, Lord? Why? Well, I'm going to have you play quarterback, then I'm going to have you play defense. I'm going to have you play for a championship coach. I'm going to have you play on a terrible team. You're going to need those experiences later on when you become a coach. The other thing I didn't know was he sent me there for a reason, to be a light for him. I didn't realize it at the time, but I tried to do what those guys did for me. And I talked to my new teammates about honoring the Lord, and I went to Bible study and tried to be one of the leaders that way. And about 15 years later, I ran into one of my old teammates on the Niners, and he told me, Tony, I just want you to know you saved my life. I said, what are you talking about? He said, man, I came in the NFL and I thought drugs and women and drinking and that was the way to go and that's what everybody did and that's what you're supposed to do. He said, and you came from Pittsburgh and you had a Super Bowl ring and you didn't do any of that. And that's when I realized I didn't have to. And I was on my way down and you saved my life. And I said, man, the Lord knew what he was doing, didn't he? I didn't even know. But just being an uncommon person, being different from everybody else, had an impact on at least one of my teammates. Well, I wish I could say things went from there, but I ended up getting traded again the next year from the 49ers to the Giants. The Giants cut me. I was 25 years old and didn't know what I was going to do. And I prayed and I said, Lord, it seems to be the end of the line, but you know, Coach Noel told me, don't put everything into football. Don't make it your whole life. So I'm ready to go wherever you want me to go and do whatever you want me to do. And not long after I prayed that, the phone rang, and it was Coach Noel. And he said, I don't know what you're going to do, but you have a good mind, you have a good heart for the game, you're a good communicator. I think you could be a good coach, and I'll create a spot on the staff for you if you want to do it. I was 25 years old, had never coached before, and God set it up. No clue it was going to happen. But from that point on, I said, you know what? I'm going to be in position to talk to some young men, and I'm going to tell them what I went through, what I learned, and I'm going to not just coach athletically, but I'm going to coach these guys as men. I'm going to encourage them spiritually, and I'm going to be a coach for the Lord however long this goes. Well, I was on the staff for 8 years there, learned a lot, grew, went to Kansas City for 3 years, grew a lot there, went to Minnesota for 4 years, and then finally I got a call from the Buccaneers in 1996. My wife and I came down. We got on the plane in Minneapolis. I'll never forget it. It was January 19th, 1996. We got on the plane. It was 13 below zero in Minneapolis. We landed here in Tampa. It was 74. Man, 87 degrees difference in one flight. Lord, please let this work out. So I was excited to get here, but I was excited because I knew God had something special. And I talked to that team about winning, and I quoted that verse that the chaplain gave us. Hey, we're going to run to win, but we're going to run to win the right race. And as I look back now, 28 years later, and I see some of the things that our guys are doing in the community, still doing in the community. I see work done in 300 homes for single moms. I see Derek Brooks with his high school group and his YMCA group and what they've done. Mike Allstott coaching high school football because he wants to be that same leader and show guys how important it is to be real men. I look at that, and that's what it's all about, and being that role model. And that's what I would like to encourage you guys tonight, to be uncommon, to be a little different. We don't have to do it the way the world does. And not everybody's going to accept that. Not everybody's going to believe that. Not going to be important to everyone. I remember a job interview I had. I won't mention the team, but the year before I got the Bucs job, I interviewed with a team, and it seemed like it was going well. And then the owner asked me a question at the end. He said, you know, I love everything about you. I've done a lot of research on you. It's just one thing I have to ask. I've read that you don't use profanity, and you very seldom raise your voice. How are you going to motivate our guys? We've got some high testosterone guys. How are you going to keep them together and do this thing? And I said, well, I'm going to do it the way my dad did it and the way I've seen it done. I'm going to connect with these guys. I'm going to show them that I care about them, show them that I love them, show them that I know what I'm talking about. And then I think they'll do it because they want to be in that type of group and in that type of setting. There'll be a mutual love and a mutual respect. That's the way I've grown up with it, and that's the way I'm going to do it. And that owner looked at me and said, that won't work in the NFL. It'll never work. And he didn't hire me. He was looking for a tougher guy. He was looking for the common thing, and I was uncommon. So the next year, I had an interview with the Glazers. Rich McKay set it up, and we had an interview, and he kind of liked me, and I'm going to meet Mr. Glazer and get the last little bit of information from him, and he's going to get to know me. And he kind of goes in the same vein, and he says, you know, just tell me a little bit about your style. I've heard about your style. So I start to think, maybe I should tell him that I'm really going to be a tough guy on the field, but maybe not. And I told him the same thing. And he said, you know what? That's just how I raised my boys. That's what I'm looking for. And I said, this is the place that God had for me. So again, I just want to encourage you. Right now, we're in a situation in this world where everybody's got an idea of how we should function, how we should operate. Most of it is not godly. Most of it is worldly. And we can fall into that trap if we're not careful. Everybody does it this way. This is how you have to do it to get ahead. This is what it's all about. Don't listen to that. Don't be afraid to be uncommon, to know that we can do it the Lord's way and succeed. We won the Super Bowl in Indianapolis in 2006. Jim Nance interviewed me right after the game, and he said, hey, you're the first African-American coach to win a Super Bowl. What does that mean to you? And I said, Jim, it's great. I'm proud to represent those coaches, but more important to me, that Lovie Smith and I, Christian coaches, and we showed the world tonight that you can do it the Lord's way and get to the top. And I was more proud of that than anything. So I want to encourage you, men, to be examples, be role models, let that light shine, and these younger men in the audience to know that you can be a little different. You don't have to do it like everybody else. You can represent the Lord and be just fine, and He's going to take care of you. So with that, I think we have some time to answer some questions. If you want, I'd love to. Yes, sir. Did John Gruden ever buy me a steak dinner? No, John and I are good friends, and John did say, and I really appreciate him for it, that there was a lot of groundwork laid. There were some great players here. He took that and rolled with it and brought his style to it and did a great job. But he did say thank you for leaving some good players here. Yes, sir. Yeah, the question was, what was my experience, and talk about when the Bucs let me go. And it was a painful time, no question about it, because I really felt like this is where God had us. He brought us here. I didn't know anybody in the Bucs organization. It wasn't like a friend hired me or anything. It was such a long shot. They wanted Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson didn't take the job. And then they wanted Steve Spurrier, and he stayed at Florida. So it's almost like, okay, well, who are we going to get? But I just knew this is where God had us. We're rolling. We're in the playoffs 4 years out of 6, and we're that close. And I knew we were going to be good. And then Brian and Joel Glazer came in and said, we just feel like we're going in a different direction. And, man, that was so painful and so hard to take, and it was devastating. But I just said, God, you have done this in the past. You've taken me places where I didn't think I would go. You've done things that I had no idea were going to happen, so I just have to let this play out. And just please tell me what you have in store for me. Well, I really thought it might be staying here in Tampa. I said, maybe this is God telling me that I need to get out of football. I'd been involved with A. Brown Ministries, a prison ministry that was phenomenal. I'd done some things with different outreaches, and maybe the Lord just wants me to get out and stay here and do things for him. So my wife and I are praying about it, and my phone rings. Hello? This is Jim Irsay. I'm the owner of the Colts. Yeah, I know who you are. I just want you to know I made a coaching change, and you're the guy I want. Yeah, I saw how you did it in Tampa. That's what I'm looking for. This is not an interview. Do not have an agent call me. Think about it. Tell me how much money you want and call me back. That's exactly what he said. I did call him back, but he talked about, he said, hey, we moved here from Baltimore. We haven't connected with the community. We don't have a fan base that's been here 30 years. I want to connect. We want to make this city a better place. He said all the things that I was interested in. And how can we do this? We want to win with the right type of guys and do it the right way. And after 20 minutes on the phone with him, I said, hey, you got me sold. It doesn't even matter. Money's not important. Well, 5 years later, we win the Super Bowl. We're coming back in the parade. It's 5 degrees below zero, and the downtown is packed. People standing out there waiting for hours for us. And I turned to him and I said, Jim, we did just what you said. We won, but we won the right way. We connected. We've got a great organization here. We've got beautiful young men, and we did it the right way. And he looked at me and he said, you're right. We did it the right way. Yes, sir. Way back in the back. Top 3 favorite players I ever coached. I would say, I'm going to leave a lot of guys out, but favorite guys I've coached, Peyton Manning, just unbelievable work ethic, wanted to make his people around him, teammates, better, just tremendous heart, and I loved coaching him. Derek Brooks, phenomenal man. After I talked, the very first talk to them, Derek came back to me in my office after the meeting, and he said, Coach, you talked 45 minutes, and you talked about doing the right things and what we're going to do off the field, and you talked about 2 minutes about winning. He said, I just want you to know I lost more games last year than I lost in my whole life. I lost 3 games at Florida State and 2 games in high school. What about winning? And I said, Derek, we are going to win, but this is how we're going to do it. And after I had that talk with him and the light bulb went on, he took that to the next level. He became the leader. He became the guy who was doing the community stuff. And then he comes into, after that year was over, he comes into my office and says, Coach, we got to get work done. I'm telling you, we have got to get work done. He's the catalyst. He's what we need. He'll give the juice, and he's the kind of guy you're talking about. So I'm all fired up, and I've watched Warwick play and highlights and stuff. At the combine, I meet him. He walks in the meeting room with us, and he's that tall. And his just soft voice, and Warwick, why do you think we need you? And what are you going to bring to us? Well, Coach, I don't want to brag on myself, but do you like touchdowns? And I said, yes, I like touchdowns. Well, he comes, and we draft him number 1. And many of you know the story. His mother is a policeman, single mom. She gets shot in a robbery. Warwick takes over the household. Now we draft him. He's got 3 teenage siblings. He comes to us. My wife is going with him to Tampa Catholic and going to parent-teacher meetings and all of this stuff. He's taking care of 3 teenagers, becomes Rookie of the Year, just playing phenomenal ball, doing so much stuff that you can't believe it. Then he comes to me and he says, Coach, I heard your message about making Tampa a better place to live. I want to do something. I want to take part of my signing bonus money. I want to make a down payment on a house and move a single mom in, because we never had a house growing up, and I know what that could mean. And he invited all of us out there. He did it, and it was just so unbelievable. And I can still remember it, 1998. I got a text from him about 3 months ago. Coach, I think you'd be happy to know I just did my 300th house. Still doing it. So I really, with all things considered, I had to say Warwick Dunn just because of what he did on and off the field and the kind of person he was. One more, they said. And I'm going to give it to that gentleman right there. Yes, sir, you.
Professional football player, successful coach. You wrote several books and you're a public speaker. Please tell us how are you bringing up your children?
It's crazy, and I have to really compliment my wife, Lauren. She is the one behind all that. It's actually 12 children now. We just adopted a little boy about 6 months ago. But my wife, that's her heart. She was a school teacher, and she loves kids, and we were always thinking, what can we do to help, and how has God blessed us? When we came to Tampa, we had 3 kids. In 1999, they were teenagers and 10 years old, I think. And I thought, well, you know, we've got a pretty nice family. Mom, dad, 3 kids, that's what everybody wants. And they asked us to do a public service announcement. It was a group in Tampa, that Christian group that were trying to talk to women and encourage them not to have abortions. And they said, if you will carry that pregnancy out, we will promise, if you can't take care of the baby, we'll promise to find you a 2-parent Christian home. And they came to us and said, could you make a public service announcement, because we don't have enough adoptive parents. We've got kids, we promised the moms we're going to take care of them, and we just don't have enough adoptive parents, especially African American and biracial kids. So we did the public service announcement, and then my wife said to me, hey, we can't just do a commercial, we got to do something. And we adopted a little boy who's 24 now, and it was just great, it was phenomenal. So then my wife says, well, he's 1, they're 15, 14, and 10. He'll be like an only child. We can't let him grow up like an only child. So we adopt another little girl the next year. And then they said, we still have more, so we've done that 9 times now. But it's been phenomenal and a real blessing. And it just goes back to what we're saying here. Be a little bit uncommon. What would it profit a man to gain the whole world if you forfeit your soul? And if you can help someone else see that, then that's what God wants. And that's what my wife's heart is. That's what mine has been, and it's been awesome. So I want to thank you guys for being here, and I just want to encourage you to be uncommon. And I'm going to finish with one verse here that really was the heart for our Uncommon book. And it is this, and you probably would recognize it. It is from Matthew 7. Jesus is giving the Sermon on the Mountain, and he says, you can enter God's kingdom only through the narrow gate. The highway to hell is broad, the gate is wide, and many people choose that way. But the gateway to life is narrow, the road is difficult, and only a few find it. So I want to encourage you to stay on that narrow road with the Lord. Let everybody else go the way they want to go. We stay with the Lord and be uncommon. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. That was awesome. So we're not going to go out to dinner yet. What I want to do is let you know about the Tony's Family Foundation real quick. Thank you, Tony, again. And Tony and his wife, Lauren, co-founded the Dungy Family Foundation. Based in Tampa, Florida, of course, this foundation supports Christian organizations, pregnancy care centers, youth development efforts, and other community groups across cities such as Tampa, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis, all places tied to his personal and professional journey. It emphasizes providing educational, emotional, and financial support to those in need with a mission rooted in strengthening and communities and glorifying God. So we wanted to make sure the Men of Redeemer Leadership Group made you aware of that and more of the phenomenal work this gentleman's doing. So thank you again, Tony. Okay, time for dinner. Here's what we're going to do. We have a lot of people here, and if you have a blue wristband, you know you're having dinner, you registered for that. We're going to start with the rows in the back and go out the doors and around the main sanctuary here and back up to the tables. Morton's Catering is all set for you, ready to go. So if we want to do that in rows, typically in order like that, it won't get too crowded, it won't be crazy, and we can get things going here in a pretty orderly manner.
You want a blessing real quick there?
Yes, I'll let you do that.
Okay, let's say a blessing real quick so it's ready for you when you get out there. Father, thank you for this night. Thank you for Coach Tony and the way you've used his life to your greater glory. Use us, we pray, in likewise fashion. Bless, O Lord, this food and the loving hands that have made it, and give us grateful hearts, and keep us always mindful of the needs of others. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Okay. If you're not dining with us, have a great night. And if you have a blue wristband, we're going to go orderly out at the back. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.